us. And so it's with love and joy that we create on our paths and bring these forms into our world. And one of the things that most recently, I love science, and one of the things that most recently came, there was a chemist, a Nobel Prize winning chemist. He won the Nobel Prize in 2004. And he did an experiment, and I find this experiment to be incredibly intriguing. He took an enclosed vial of water with DNA in it, and he put it in a chamber. And then he took another vial with just absolutely pure water, distilled water, purest water he could have, put that in the chamber. And then he irradiated the chamber at 7 megahertz with electromagnetic energy, and passed through the first vial into the second vial and passed through the second vial. And it was not too long of an exposure. And then they looked at they took the second vial and they added nutrients, the components of DNA. And DNA assembled itself in exactly the same strands and model as was in the other thing. So what the experiment was about was on the quantum level, the energy from the DNA was transmitted into the quantum level of the pure water and was sitting there. And then they added in the nutrients, and there came the DNA. So my meditation on it was that perchance life is transmitted through time and space on these very low frequency electromagnetic waves. And so if we find a planet with water and nutrients, and we take our DNA or any DNA and beam that body with it, their life will come. And my guess is that's how we got here. And that's I haven't well, that painting over there, which I just finished, it's about the transmission through the great quantum grid of the energy of enlightened, awakened awareness. And I chose the dolphins, of course, because they have long been an inspirational transmitting force to my own being. I first did my first dolphin paintings in Santa Fe when I was mending a patch on my Levi's as a poor artist, and it turned into a dolphin, and then this message came when I drew my first dolphin painting, and the dolphins were giving me information about the structure and nature of energy and light and matter in the universe. And now this painting, some 20 years after my last dolphin painting, came to me the other day and said, you know, you need to demonstrate this again, how this transference of, and the dolphins and whales transmit lots of energy into super low frequencies that correspond to the wavelengths of energy that transmitted this DNA sequences on a quantum level into other spaces. And I think this is how they connected with me. And to me, it's everything we do and everything we say and everything we think is part of this grid. And this is why we need to all find the discipline and practice within ourselves in a creative way, not a penitential way, but in a celebratory way, in order to bring these new forms of harmony and wholeness and radiance into our world. And to me, that's the origin of art, comes from the shaman's journey, and the origin of our liberation from the great ignorance and suffering that permeates our planet, and will be resolved in forms that will be created by creative people thinking, not by necessarily by going to school, but to plunging and plumbing the depths of who we are, and how we're connected not just to ourselves but to all life forms. And that doesn't just mean all life forms on this planet, it means all life forms throughout all worlds and all suns and all dimensions that are opening up to us, because we're finding that we're not just a single point in a lonely little planet with just a little bit of life on it, and there is no life anywhere else. And it's a wonderful therapy, because if you know that there's life in many, many places, not just this place, and that you're connected to it, it's like having your family get very, very big. And there's the idea that, one more thing that I'll bring up, there's the idea that our challenge that we're facing now with our world is a challenge that all advanced civilizations have had to cross. There's a boundary between just being yourself and being selfish and being unconditionally in love with the rest of the universe and realizing it's alive and full of life. And that boundary is the one that needs to come down. And this is a very exciting time, because it is coming down. And those cultures and forms that hold in the ignorance and the darkness of our world, the politicized forms of brutality and lie and suffering, and the usury of all the planet's resources for a few individuals, and it's becoming fewer and fewer in the last 20 years at least, is not in harmony. And the universe, I always say, is infinitely intelligent and infinitely aware and infinitely capable of balancing all actions, all deeds, and all thoughts. So it's upon us all to bring those thoughts and actions and deeds into the wholeness, harmony, and radiance that is our true nature. And may everyone be able to my prayer is that may everyone be able to discover whatever that nature is in themselves, and have the wonderful opportunity to be able to sustain that and to grow it and to share and link with the alliance of light and energy that is what we are all a part of. And fortunately for the people here, we have recognized this, and now it's just a matter of working on it. And it doesn't come easy. Life, the lessons in life and the practice requires a tremendous amount of contrary activity. And I've always felt fortunate for myself that I've always been a contrary person. When I was a little child, they had to put a harness on me because I wanted to go and explore and contrary to wanting to stay in one place. So thank you all for listening. Thank you all for participating. And if anyone has any questions or ideas about what we've been talking about, I'll be more than happy to discuss or answer any things that within my capability.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to talk.